Welcome to the Belated Tech Channel's 49th edition of the Space and Tech History Rewind. We are reviewing the milestones that occurred on each day in the week of May 17th through May 23rd in space exploration, science, and technology. May 17th, 1930. German-Austrian rocket engineer Max Valier was killed in a laboratory accident on this date. Automobile manufacturer Fritz von Opel publicly supported Valier's rocket car tests as complementary to Opel's own efforts. Valier, like the US's Robert Goddard, was an early advocate of the use of rockets for flight and personally dreamed of rocket-propelled transatlantic aircraft. Neither man was able to develop a viable aerospace-purposed rocket. General Motors, who owned most of Opel by 1929, forbid further spending on rocket technology, leading Opel to resign in a rage from the company and leaving Germany permanently other than a few return business trips. He died in 1971, age 71. Valier's death in 1930 resulted from a careless accident in his laboratory in Berlin when working on a rocket combustion chamber. The test article unexpectedly exploded and a small metal fragment hit his pulmonary artery. He was 35. May 18th, 1969. Apollo 10 was lifted to a lunar trajectory on a Saturn V rocket from the Kennedy Space Center's Launch Complex 39B on this date. The command module was CSM-106 and the lunar lander was LM-4. The crew included Cooper, Eisel, and Mitchell. The mission was the dress rehearsal for the Apollo 11 mission, which did land on the moon. Apollo 10 inserted into lunar orbit on May 21st. The lunar module was activated a day later and inserted into a descent orbit that brought the lander within 2 miles of the lunar surface near the planned landing site of Apollo 11. LM-4 returned to the command module and docked successfully. On May 23rd, the lander's ascent stage was jettisoned towards the Sun, and Apollo 10 began its return journey to Earth. The crew splashed down in the Pacific on May 26th and was picked up by the aircraft carrier USS Princeton. May 19th, 1965. Apollo A003 Test Capsule 22 was lifted in a suborbital high-altitude test from the White Sands Missile Range on this date. About 25 seconds after launch, and at an altitude of about 3 miles, the Little Joe 2 booster, built by Convair, disintegrated as a result of a violent and unprogrammed roll. We covered Convair's history with the U.S. space program in Milestones 90. Apollo A003's launch escape system functioned perfectly, however, and lifted the test command module clear of the vehicle. Launch manager Joseph F. Shea, while acknowledging that, quote, the mission's prime objectives were not met, rightly observed that the escape system nonetheless, quote, proved its mettle in an actual emergency. None of the manned Apollo missions from 1969 to 1975 ended in an abort, but it comforted NASA to know that if one had, it wouldn't result in the death of an astronaut. May 20th, 1980. The sequel to the smash success Star Wars, The Empire Strikes Back, was released on this day, almost exactly 3 years after the release of the original film. The pioneering use of special effects technology in the Star Wars trilogy transformed the movie industry. The Empire Strikes Back's box office totaled $292 million in the US and $549 million worldwide, comparing favorably to the original movie, which booked $461 million in US ticket sales and $775 million worldwide. Director George Lucas and Lucasfilm Studios completed its trilogy in 1983, and then filmed and released a prequel trilogy between 1999 and 2005, before Lucas sold his movie rights in the Star Wars franchise and his studio to Disney, which filmed and released its own sequel trilogy from 2015 to 2019. Disney's first Star Wars movie, The Force Awakens, performed well at the box office, but writing, directing, and creative input declined sharply thereafter, and its second and third movies in its trilogy became the franchise's worst main story financial performers in the entire 35-year history of the series. Disney is slated to try again in Christmas of 2023. May 21st, 1962, NASA and the Army Corps of Engineers awarded a contract to Consolidated Steel to convert the Cape Canaveral Air Force Station's Launch Complex 19 from a Titan ICBM launch pad to a site capable of supporting the Gemini manned space program. The award was for $2.6 million, and the new launch complex was completed on October 17th of 1963. The facility's notable feature was the locomotive-powered booster erector, much like that used at the USSR's Baikonur Cosmodrome. Launch Complex 19 hosted all 12 flights of the Gemini program between 1961 and 1966. Including Titan missions, 27 launches occurred at the launch complex between 1959 and 1966. After the conclusion of the Gemini 12 mission, Launch Complex 19 was decommissioned and never used again. The astronaut service room at the top of the erector was preserved and moved to Launch Complex 26, Wernher von Braun's Jupiter and Juno launch site, decommissioned in 1958. The Air Force Space and Missile Museum occupies Launch Complex 26 and adjoining Launch Complexes 5 and 6, both of which were also used in the US's early manned space program, and both deactivated in 1961. May 22, 1979, paleontologist Russell Graham discovered a portion of a Paleo-American spearhead among mastodon remains on this date near Imperial, Missouri, USA. The find provided the first solid evidence of the coexistence of humans and the American mastodon in North America. Mastodon remains had been found as early as 1705, but it wasn't until Graham's discovery that the connection between the two species was made. Megafauna, such as the elephant-like mastodon, had died out about 10,500 years ago, and the spearhead showed that Siberians had crossed the Bering Strait well before that time. Megafauna are the large set of mammals, most weighing hundreds of pounds if not several tons, that lived during the Pleistocene era, or about 2.5 million years ago to about 8500 BC. Several hundred species are thought to have gone extinct. North America's extinction event included unusual animals no longer present in any form, such as giant sloths, steppe lions, proto-camels, musk ox, woolly mammoths, saber-toothed cats, teratorns, a type of very large predatory bird, and of course, mastodons. May 23, 1994, Sun Microsystems Inc. formally announced its new programming language, Java, at the Sun World 95 convention. Java was described as a programming language that offered the best universal operating system to the online community. The concept behind the program was to design a programming language whose applications would be available to a user with any kind of operating system, eliminating the problems of translation between Macintoshes, IBM-compatible computers, and Unix machines. True to Sun's vision, Java rapidly became one of the most widely used programming languages in the world. In fact, Java's code formed the basis for Google's Android operating system, a situation that earned the search giant a multi-billion-dollar lawsuit from Oracle, who had purchased Sun Microsystems in 2010. Rather than dispute the stealing of the code, Google's strategy was to declare fair use, because the Java API is commonly used by programmers the world over to develop software. This proved to be a winning legal strategy, as the US Supreme Court sided with Google in April of 2021. We covered this lawsuit in Milestones 83. Before we get to the current event of the week, we wanted to see if you enjoyed this 49th episode of Belated Tech's The Space and Tech History Rewind. If so, click that like button. Did you agree with our choices, or are there other events that were better? Go ahead and share with us by dropping a comment below. And if you have suggestions for an event in the future, we'll take those too. We'll credit events we pick for future videos to those viewers that post them. We hope you have been enjoying our content. Have we earned your subscription to our channel? If yes, and you have not yet taken the opportunity as of yet to subscribe, please take a moment to do so now, and click the bell notification icon so you don't miss upcoming videos. We want to continue delivering great content to you. You can always unsubscribe, and subscribing is free. On May 19, 2021, Colonial Pipeline CEO Joseph Blunt confirmed that the U.S. pipeline operator had paid the hacker group Darkside $4.4 million to unlock the company's servers from a cyber attack that had shut down its pipelines and halted gasoline and aviation fuel shipments to much of the southeast United States. The fuel shortages caused chaos for 2 weeks and sharp spikes in prices at the pumps, assuming you could get gas at all. Blunt appeared to lay the blame for its decision on the Biden administration, which had publicly said that the company should pay the ransom for the good of the country, rather than relying on a lengthy effort from the U.S. government's law enforcement and intelligence services or private computer security services to rescue them from their own security folly. Previous administrations had made it clear that U.S. companies should not pay ransoms to hackers in an attempt to save money on recovering their computer systems, as it would encourage and fund continued criminal activities. And to that point, media sources have said that Darkside has collected over $90 million in ransoms in recent years. The incident resulted in some unexpected fallout. Darkside itself endured an attack on its financial network after the Colonial Pipeline takedown became public, causing the criminal group large losses. It is not clear whether it was the U.S. government or someone else who was involved. And the revelation that much of the U.S.'s fuel distribution network was reliant on a single pipeline laid bare the consequences of environmental groups' successful political fight to prevent new pipelines from being built. Links to some of our most recent episodes can be found in the description section below. You can peruse our entire 250-plus video library by looking at our playlists, which conveniently sort videos by subject. We announce all new videos on our microblogging accounts, as well as in the community feed for this channel. Want to know how to navigate our channel content? We refer to retrotech and innovation documentary segments as episodes. Coverage of current events in space exploration, science, and technology are labeled as shorts. Space and tech history are documented in an anthology called Milestones, and gameplay recordings can be discovered on the BELATED Tech Gaming channel in videos called walkthroughs and side missions. Stay connected by occasionally checking our Instagram feed and Minds page, where we post content from our upcoming episodes and from episodes past that you may have missed, and where we cover current news and events related to channel content. Thanks for watching.